Jesse Lindloff. I'm a skateboarder. I guess I would consider myself an artist. Normally I wouldn't really say that. I would just say like art is just something that I naturally do, but most people would consider the stuff that I do to be art. I pretty much have always been drawing stuff like my whole life. Ever since I was really young, just like doodling stuff. My mom's got a whole collection in our basement of just like all the old stuff that I would draw when I was a kid that she kept, which is pretty cool to look at. Yeah, they were always supportive. I remember there's actually a math teacher I had that would give me -1 point for every doodle that I drew on the page. So I'd end up getting like negative like 6 or 7 points just because for some reason I guess I couldn't help myself, or maybe I just did it out of spite, but I would relentlessly draw doodles on stuff. So in my family, nobody else ever really kind of dabbles with art stuff. So I think it was just kind of just me being like on the internet as a kid and just looking up like drawing tutorials and stuff like that just out of boredom. So that's kind of how I mainly just picked it up, you know. I didn't start skating till I was around like 9 or 10 probably. Like some of my older little doodles like date back to when I was in like 1st grade, you know, so it was like way early on. They're both so different, you know. They both kind of have like their meditative parts about them, but I would say like drawing is way more of a process. Like I'll probably take like the whole day, like a whole 2 days where I'll just like sit down and spend like 5-6 hours like sitting at the table in my room like drawing and like erasing shit, like redrawing stuff. For the most part, it seems that I usually just do pencil and then just go over it with a pen after and then scan it and then just color it in on my little tablet. There's really no like rhyme or reason for any of it. It's like I see something that I think is cool and I'm like, oh, I'll draw that and then draw something else and then I'll add that to it. And I'll pretty much like go as hard as I can for as long as I can and then pretty much burn out, and then I won't draw or do any like sort of artwork for like a couple weeks, and then I'll just do it all over again, like spend 3 days super hard, and then it's pretty much how it goes for me. I'm just in my own little world. I would say Nolan Johnson with all the Scram artwork. I just think his stuff is like some of the most original stuff that's getting made. And then obviously just like, you know, the OG like Jim Phillips, like all that artwork is always super dope. And I think Swank stuff is pretty cool too. The graphics he's done are pretty rad. The first graphic I did, it was for Scram. Came about sort of just out of nowhere. I had a daily routine where I would like go out and like smoke joints on my patio every single morning. So I'd go out there and draw a new little drawing every single day. And the first one I started off with was just this drawing of my first dog that I had. His name was Tucker, and so I drew this guy. And then I cut him out, and then a couple days after that I drew these little bean dudes and then cut them out. Added the little pool, the little cactus dude, all that stuff, and then just took Scotch tape and just taped it all together. That was the first graphic I ever drew that ended up on an actual skateboard. This is like the second board graphic I ever did for Scram, and this one for sure I put a lot more thought into. But yeah, it was pretty much the same process. Colored it on the computer. This was the first time I actually colored a board myself. Pretty stoked on this one. The wheels I was super hyped to do the artwork for. Yeah, OG just hit me up, said they wanted to do a wheel, and then I asked Foy if I could just send in a couple ideas for a graphic, and then I ended up sending him this one right here, this little pool graphic that I drew. I'd never done like a wheel graphic before, so I kind of just winged it with this little outline. And then somehow it ended up fitting pretty much perfect on there, so that's kind of like, I was pretty proud of myself on like acing that first tee. Super hyped to have something like that, you know. These are all basically just used in the Bronson Gets Cooked video. So they asked me for a bunch of little drawings and stuff. We got like the sun and the rain, sharing a joint and a beer, the prime rib. Got the Cobra dog, which I guess is a real place. Alex Wilms drowning in the river. Luckily he pulled through. Shout out Alex Wilms, fucking not dying on us. That was pretty cool. This is just another example of like the kind of shit my brain thinks about. So yeah, I was hyped to be able to do that. Pretty much since I've been riding for Foundation, they've given me a whole bunch of boards, which I'm stoked on, but these two right here are the two that I've gotten to draw myself and be a part of like creating, so I was pretty stoked to get those going. Like I said earlier, doodling was just always something I just did naturally, so like just to see it all end up on a board is just like, I don't know, it's pretty crazy to me. Just definitely something I had never thought I would see happen as a kid, you know? Yeah, I went through a little period where I was doing little like one-off paintings, and I made like a bunch of shirts for a while. People were pretty stoked on, and it's kind of cool to on like painting as much just because I I don't know, I don't really find painting as satisfying as just drawing with pen and pencil. That's another thing is I'm not like making it to sell it, you know? It's like, that's why if I make a painting, it's usually I'm like, was in the mood to paint that day, which is rare. I'm not like working on anything, but I'm always like doodling and drawing shit. It's just, you know, it's always hard for me to just narrow down, just find something that I think is worthy of a graphic, you know? Yeah, it's mainly just foundation stuff for right now, and maybe more like NHS stuff in the future. I think regardless if I skated, I always would have been drawing, I believe. If I had like the option to have either like my name on a board or just my art on a board, I'd choose just having my art on there. It's almost like my version of like a painting or something, you know, that you can hang up on a wall. A physical object where I can say like, yeah, I made that thing. That just feels good, you know.